Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Draft Room. This is the NFL Draft Podcast of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate, you can call in at 608-561-3243. Get your comments, your prospects, your mocks, thoughts, dreams, and desires. Go ahead and drop it in here. Real quick, I don't know as I mentioned, I'm going to be restructuring stuff a little bit because it turns out 4 podcasts is a lot, even with my buddy Sal doing one of them. So I think what I'm going to try to do, obviously it'll depend. We'll have mock drafts, which will be different. That'll be me, I would assume. There's going to be the calls. I will be answering all the calls and all that. I think for what I was planning on doing today, but we do have a call, so that changes things. But just so you're aware, one of the things I'm contemplating is kind of going through some of the news, the notes, the rumors, all that kind of stuff. That'll be segment 1. Segment 2, I want to go through prospects. I want to do, scouting reports on different guys and whatnot. And again, all this stuff will be in the scouting guide that I am putting together. Link is in the description. However, I think I'm going to put Sal to work on that. That's something that I think he can handle really, really well, and it'll, again, take a lot off my plate. It doesn't take a ton to go through all that for me personally, but it will save me a lot of time, and I just think, I genuinely just think it sounds better. I don't enjoy when I go through the scouting reports. It's kind of more just like reading, and again, I think Sal just puts a little bit of extra flavor on it and whatnot. So we'll try that. I don't know. We'll see what Garrett has to say today. Maybe today will be one of those things, but that will be at least the plan for the near future. We'll see how that goes. And again, I want to balance what I'm able to do while still being able to put out decent quality content if at all possible. So It's partially to save time, but legitimately, I genuinely think it will be better. It'll sound better. So, anywho, let's see what's going on with Garrett. Garrett, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan. This is Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Howdy.
I waited until pretty much free agency had done its complete cycle and waited for teams to kind of fill in gaps before I ever did any mock drafts. So I'm submitting to you my very first mock draft that I have attempted, and just wanted to get your opinion, what you thought of it. I only drafted 2nd round through 6th because the draft simulator that I used, that's all it would allow.
Gotcha.
So it's a more condensed version. I guess you could say maybe if Goody trades up with a couple.
Could do 7 rounds on mine, but that's fine.
His 7th or 6th, that maybe this is what it could look like. So here it goes. For the 52nd pick, Green Bay picks Lee Hunter, defensive lineman from Texas Tech. With the 84th.
I think we'll do one at a time, so I don't have to kind of do like with the last one. I'm trying to remember and go back and write all it down. So Lee Hunter was, if I can pull him up real quick, I know he was an extremely popular pick for quite a long time. That has died down. I don't know if it's because the Lee Hunter hype has died down because of the combine or any of that kind of stuff, or if it's just kind of too much of a reach. He's right now on the consensus board at 39. So him falling to 52 is possible, but I don't think too many people would expect that to happen. But he is one of the many guys that I said absolutely fits what the Packers need, and that is that true nose tackle. And honestly, he graded out pretty well as a pass rusher. The statistics are not there. They're not there for anybody. But this is where I lean. Everybody hates PFF grades. This is kind of where I lean on the grades a little bit. I think pass rush is important. Rashawn Gary was one of those guys, and it's easy to say now that he's gone. But even when his stats were good, his grades were bad. There's other guys where they have good grades, but the stats are bad. And I think there's a lot of context here. And the grades, they don't tell you the context, but they hint at context. And when you are a 330-pound guy that's getting double-teamed and everything else, I don't mind having people watch the tape and grade people on a play-to-play basis and tell me that actually he's a very good pass rusher. In fact, he spent 3 years at UCF. He only started the last 2. So he had 2 years at UCF, 1 at Texas Tech as a starter. His run defense grades, which are the most important, were 77, 75, and then he exploded at Texas Tech, 85. So he can do the job you're bringing him in to do. But as a perk, he also had pass rush grades of 69, 70, and 72. Now, you don't really expect that from a guy like this. You know, I mean, especially statistically, but even from a grading standpoint, I don't expect pass rush ability. I just need you to run defend. But if you can bring that as an extra added bonus at 6'4", 330, I'm very, very okay with that. So, again, I don't know. And I feel like the draft is still, I mean, we're getting real close, but it seems to be still far enough out that I'm just not seeing a ton on social media. Usually, and maybe it's because we don't have a first-round pick, so Packer fans are not as, I don't know, aware of the prospects or going through the usual process of like, this is my guy, this is what I want. There was like a period of Malik Muhammad, and then that died. There was a huge Lee Hunter thing, and then that died, and I just haven't heard much recently. So I will say, if he were to fall to us, he would absolutely be on the watch list, but he is not expected to make it.
Pick. Green Bay Packers select Connor Lew, offensive lineman, Auburn.
So that one kind of speaks to it for itself. I mean, he's a and we've had several people call in. Obviously, we're talking about the Packers here, by the way. Several people call in about Connor Lew as a strategy. Connor Lew is, at least the rumor a while ago, and I don't know how well this holds up today, but Connor Lew would have been a first-round pick, but he tore his ACL, so on top of the fear, he may not start right away, blah, blah, blah. For the Green Bay Packers, they look at it and say, well, we have a center. We just paid a center. We don't want him to be our long-term center, but we're okay with him for a period of time. So you bring him in. He's probably going to miss a good amount of training camp, but you'll get a chance to see him. Maybe he doesn't really start year one. Don't know. Maybe he takes over some point in year one. But at the end of the day, you're getting a long-term investment in a very, very talented center that never should have fallen to you, and the only thing it's going to cost you in addition is patience. And if you're willing to be patient, then, all is right with the world.
With the 120th pick, Green Bay selects Devin Moore, cornerback, Florida. With the 160th...
Pause the wrong one, darn it. Devin Moore. Devin Moore is cool. I'm trying to remember, and I need to do this for the Packers podcast, but I went through for I don't even remember what exactly for. I think it was when I was looking at like Benjamin St-Juste and all that kind of stuff and trying to understand what a prototypical Gannon corner looks like. And the one thing that kind of stood out, and it gave me some tremors because it brought me back to the old days of how we used to draft these tall, long-arm corners, but that's kind of the thing. They're these tall, super long arms so they can get in your chest and disrupt your routes and all that kind of stuff. I don't know exactly what his wingspan is. I could look it up, but I don't super care. But when you look at a guy who's 6'3", 198, I mean, it's one of those things where if the Packers drafted him, I'd go, see, there it is. That was it from day one. Coverage grades are phenomenal. He spent 4 years there. Didn't really super start until 2025, but 65 grade in his rookie year, then 82, 71, and then his final year where he did start and played most of, if not all the year, 82 coverage grade. He allowed 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 3 pass breakups, 70 passer rating when targeted. Also phenomenal as a physical football player. His run defense grade was an 82, and that's not an anomaly. He did that his entire time at Florida. His tackling grade was a 79. That's not an anomaly. He did that his entire time at Florida. He didn't really rush the passer, but as a run defense, tackling, and coverage guy, he definitely checks all the boxes. Now, I don't know if there's a bunch of injuries mixed in here because he did miss a lot of time, or if it was more so just not really starting. That would be something to investigate. But, he checks pretty much all the boxes there. And then I let it play on accident. Again, I paused the wrong thing. But you went on to say Tacario Davis, the cornerback out of Washington. This is, first of all, is a very common mock draft tactic. Take your biggest need first, your second biggest need second, your third biggest need third, and then just double up on that one because you ended up waiting until third. So it kind of like balances out to be, all the value or whatever. But Tacario Davis is another one. And in fact, I'm almost positive when I went through, there was a handful of corners that I had kind of determined to be Gannon guys. Let me just go up here for a second and look. I'm pretty positive Tacario was one of them. Who the heck else was a good one? I'll have to go back and try to find that. But I think Tacario was one. Man, I know Malik was up there. Igbinosun was up there. I think Neal, because he's more of a physical guy, kind of fit in. Anyways, 6'4", 200 pounds, and out of Washington, no less. So, you got the whole Kevin King vibe going on there. He also missed a good amount of time in his final year. That one almost certainly is injury because he started in 23 and 24 and then missed some time in 25, so there's an injury there. He also never really graded out very well outside of 2023 in Arizona. That was his one kind of breakout year. 2024 was a 62 grade. And then 2025 in Washington is 1 year there. He had a 65 coverage grade. So, he may fit the scheme, the prototype, and all that kind of stuff. But as far as PFF being impressed with him, not massively. Dang it.
Cornerback, Washington. And with their 201st pick, they select Michael Kamara, edge from Indiana.
Michael. Looks more like Mikhail, like some kind of a Russian thing. No relation to Alvin Kamara, by the way. But pretty experienced guy at 6'1", 262. Pretty, sizable guy. Played down defensive end at Indiana. Obviously a pretty successful school. 3 years at James Madison. Prior to that, his pass rush grades were 65, 69, 74, 89. Big breakout year his first year at Indiana. Then down to 76, which is still good. But the grades went down, the pressures went down, although I don't know necessarily as a percentage. The big thing was the sacks. For some reason, his sacks disappeared. He had, even at James Madison 2022, he only rushed the passer 83 times. He had 4 sacks. 2025 at Indiana, he had 340 pass rush attempts, 2 sacks. The year prior, his big breakout year, and we're talking like 25 additional pass rush attempts, so not a big deal. 10 sacks, dropped down to 2. So as a sack percentage rate, this was definitely his worst year. The pressure rate is still there. The pass rush grades are still very good. It's just kind of a weird anomaly kind of thing that you'd have to ask about in terms of what that is all about. Could honestly be one of those guys, though, that you watch more about his 2024 tape and you let other people pass on him because of his 2025 tape?
So there is a first submission of mine for the mock draft that I think does a pretty good job of addressing some of the spots that they still need to maybe get more depth, especially with a cornerback, 2 guys selected. I've said before, I think Goody will select more than one to kind of bring in some competition for that group. And with the possibility of just having Ryan on for 1 year, I think Lou is an excellent choice to take a year to redevelop and rest his knee that just had surgery. So it'll be a great year for him just to sit back and watch and learn and slowly integrate into the offensive line. And then for the defensive line, Lee Hunter and Michael Kamara edge, that's one each for those positions that I think definitely adds some depth and possibility fills in a spot from other guys that have left due to free agency or traded. There you go.
No, I agree. I agree with all that. I think everybody would be pretty happy with that. I think what I'll do today, just to kind of test it out, we'll pick one of those guys and have Sal give us a little bit more of an insight on that. But I appreciate that. Appreciate the submission, and we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Let me tell you something, Draft Nation. I am standing in my kitchen this morning, 6:45 a.m. My daughter is screaming at me from upstairs because I used the hair tie as a bookmark again, and I pull up the combine numbers for this corner out of Washington. 6'3" and 7/8, 194 pounds, 441, 33 and 3/8 inch arms, 80 and 7/8 inch wingspan. I did not pick it back up for 11 minutes. Draft Nation, Tacario Davis might be the most physically terrifying cornerback in this class, and I need you to understand why before somebody else tells you first. 3-star recruit out of Long Beach, only 2 scholarship offers, Arizona State and Kansas. 2. Everybody passed on this kid, and the boy was a 2-way captain in high school. 51 tackles, 3 picks on defense, 25 catches, 453 yards, 6 touchdowns as a receiver, also running track. Draft Nation, what else did you need to see? He lands at Arizona, 2023, 15 pass breakups, 15. That led the entire Pac-12, second team all Pac-12. 2024, 44 tackles, 6 more PBUs, 11 starts, second team all Big 12. Jim Thorpe semifinalist, had a 5 PBU masterclass against 10th ranked Utah. 5 in one game. Am I crazy? Then Jed Fish takes the Washington job and Davis follows him. Transfers, reunites with his coach. 2 interceptions in 2025. Honorable mention all Big Ten despite missing 5 games with a hamstring injury. Some people called it a lateral move. Those people were wrong. Now, I give it to you straight, Draft Nation. 5 missed games from that hamstring. That is not nothing. Medical checks will matter. Every team bringing him in better have their doctors in that room. But here is what I also know. The combine, 441 at 6'4", at 194 pounds, 81st percentile among all combine corners. One of the best performances at this size ever. 37-inch vertical, 10 feet 3-inch broad jump. The tape said he was fast. The stopwatch said, yeah, we completely agree. The strengths, those 33 and 3/8 inch arms turn every boundary route into a nightmare. He boxes receivers out at the catch point like he is playing basketball. Wins at the line, jams, disrupts timing, stays in a receiver's hip pocket, and he is not some coverage-only bozo. 6% career missed tackle rate. He comes downhill, wraps up, plays physical. Zone reads are natural. Cover 3, cover 2. He squeezes lanes with that wingspan without overcommitting. This is a complete corner. You understand me? The weakness, I will be honest, is the transition. Tall frame pops upright in his pedal. Flipping the hips on sharp breaks gives quicker guys a step. Can get grabby when his feet are wrong, and NFL officials will not be as forgiving. Boundary corner. Do not put him in the slot. That is not the assignment. Projection, 3rd round. Legitimate late second if a press-heavy team falls in love, and they will. Consensus board, 90 to 140. Best scheme fit, physical press defenses, Bengals style, cover 3 on the boundary. Give this man a sideline and tell him to own it. Primary comp is Cam Taylor-Britt in Cincinnati. Explosive, long speed corner, press physicality, boundary toughness, run support willingness, same athletic profile. Secondary comp is Israel Mukuamu. Towering, zone-friendly, same developmental arc from raw athlete to starter. Wrong system and never refines the transition? Mukuamu is the floor. Right coach and right scheme? Taylor Britt is the ceiling. I will take that range every single time. Find me the knock, because I have been looking. And what I keep finding is a physical freak who plays hard, plays complete, and made scouts look like clowns for passing on him in high school. 3-star to 3-conference all-conference. 2 scholarship offers to a 441 at the NFL Combine. If your team runs a press scheme and Tacario Davis falls to the 3rd round, you run to that podium. You do not let him get to round 4. That is the homework. You want more like this? Subscribe to the Draft Room. Leave us a review. Tell somebody who watches the draft that we did the work so they don't have to. I am Big Sal. Draft Nation, see you next time.